Welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Danny Cannell. That's Bud Elliott. I'm Chip Patterson, coming to you live at youtube.com/Cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe, smash the like, and come and join us in the chat. Already seeing. Look, I saw a great comment from the chat yesterday. They said it's the Cover 3 tailgate. The crew that shows up early, they wait for the stream to start. On a day like today, they're already comparing their locks. They're already talking about their bets. So come hang out at the Cover 3 tailgate. Show up early. Get the conversation going. And, of course, smash that likes. No likes, no locks. You know how it goes because it is Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, the very, very best time of the week where we get to give you our locks for the weekend. So we begin, like we always do, with a review of the week that was. Bud Elliott, 5-3 week. The wins were Ohio State, Notre Dame under, Wisconsin, Purdue over, Florida State team total over, Ole Miss, Alabama under, and Penn State minus 14.5. The losses, BYU plus 10, NC State minus 9.5, and Rice minus 2. Bud, your thoughts on the week that was?
Yeah, so happy to go 2-0 in the lock fights. That felt good. Both those were no sweat. I mean, when Calandria double pumps a bubble screen that should be picked off, and it's so late that NC State's defense basically falls down and then they run it for 70, I knew we were in trouble. I knew we were in worse trouble when NC State, which was already down 2 safeties, and they run a 3-safety defense, lost 2 more safeties. Like, okay, like there's no way this team has enough safeties to function, and indeed that was deader than dead. BYU allowed 2 defensive scores by Kansas, so hard to cover the number there. I don't really know that was right side on like a success rate basis, but Kansas didn't move it on them all that well until late. I'd probably bet that again, having watched it, but maybe a little bit lighter. Florida State team total, absolute luck box on my part to go to overtime and get that. So that was clearly not the right side. Ole Miss, Alabama under, no sweat. I mean, Ole Miss can't block Alabama. I think we absolutely knew that. Iowa can't score. And Rice, I mean, Rice let me down, man.
No. Don't blame Rice. You took Rice as a road favorite.
Yeah. I know Daniels got hurt, but still, like that was a pretty pathetic defensive effort by a Rice defense that on the year had been okay. And USF's offense to me had kind of sucked on the year, and they both turned it around in the directions I needed them to not turn it around. So I'll certainly take 5-3 out of that slate. Seems like a fair record for what I thought I put down.
100%. All right, I went 5-3-1. The wins were App State, Wyoming under. Iowa, Penn State under. You got Notre Dame +3. That's going to be your push sauce right there. Marshall -5. The SMU, TCU under, and then Western Kentucky, Troy first half under. Double body blow principle coming in to effect. I was right there with you, Bud, on the BYU. I don't know if I would go back and bet it again, but I knew I was being risky. I mean, you're dealing with a team that functionally scoring can be very difficult for BYU. You are hoping that they are going to be enough of a pain in the ass that you're going to somehow stay within that number. When you need them to mount a big comeback, it's not a good sign. Also lost that first half over, nowhere really close there. And Louisiana -9 was cruising, but did not end up coming through. The Cajuns clearly looking ahead to punching a hole in the boat as Louisiana will be taking on Minnesota this week, 5-3-1. Danny, 6-3-1. The wins, Kansas State -4. Iowa, Penn State under, rocking right there with you. The Ohio State, Notre Dame under. Also, Florida State, Clemson under. Florida State -2. Little 2-for-1 special. Love to see that come in. Oregon, yeah, never a doubt there. And Texas A&M, the losses were SMU +6.5 in the skillet. The under in Wisconsin, Purdue. Badgers got the offense rolling. And then the Oregon team total, that's a travesty right there.
That's the one. That's the only one I want to talk about because I've noticed this in life. I noticed this in the stock market. I read a bunch of these books back when I was a day trader, getting absolutely shellacked, that they said your wins are never as enjoyable, or they're never, the joy of the wins is never as high as the low of loss. Does that make sense? Did I say that right? Because it came out really convoluted, but I'm still like, as good a week as it was, I cannot believe that one didn't hit when you have 35 at halftime and the coach goes in and says, we're going to run it up, and they don't add to it and get over. That one still stings. That one's going to bother me for the rest of the year.
What a day trading Danny. Like how intense
Danny
did
day
it
trader.
get?
That's like a story for another time. Like I'm talking 6 screens. I was up trading the European markets at 3 a.m. and just it was the term death by 1,000 cuts. This guy right here. I mean, because I thought I had it. I thought I had it figured out. I was shopping for beachfront real estate in Florida. I was ready to buy like mansions, and then now I'm working 3 different shows. So you go tell me how it worked out.
Now I'm getting text to join Spotlight at the last minute.
Exactly.
That's good stuff. Tom, 6-4. Man, just love to see all these winning weeks for the crew. Also in on Kansas State, also in on App State, Wyoming. Got out there with Washington because Washington is a wagon. Rutgers, Michigan under. New Mexico +3.5, and Tulsa, Northern Illinois under. The only losses were the Oregon team total. You were right there as well. USC -34.5 and Illinois -15. I know we've got some Fighting Illini takeaways. I don't know if you want to delve into that too much, but until the right side of that offensive line gets fixed, we're gonna keep our distance.
Yeah, no, I'm just kind of where Danny is with the Oregon team total, because I can't believe that thing lost. And Dan Lanning is on my hot seat. But I want to point out, Danny Day Trader, you are up, if we include moneyline sprinkles on the season, you are up 7.95 units this year with an ROI of 15.6%. You're a wagon right now, dude. So.
Maybe I'm back shopping for beachfront real estate. Let's go.
All right. We got to flush that week as good as it was, because like Danny said, we can't linger on our wins. We're hungry for the next one. So, gentlemen, week 5 on deck. Y'all ready to lock it up?
I guess.
Since 2005, the under in games between service academies is 40-9-1.
We're picking locks.
Give me an over in this one as well. A little 2-for-1 special.
Don't get these locks.
I was a sicko last week. Y'all were watching the good games. I was live betting the hell out of UL in Kentucky.
My Blue Plate special 5-star locks are coming.
5-star master lock. Lock it
You
up.
want these locks.
I'm living and dying every point, every cover.
Going to begin with the early birds, the Thursday and Friday action this week. On Thursday night, we've got Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee, some Cayusa on CBS Sports Network, Tulsa and Temple, and then more Conference USA with Jacksonville State, Sam Houston. Anybody got a lock for Thursday night?
I have one.
Okay, go for it.
It's Twitter tip of the day, and I'm locking it up here too. Sam Houston State under 14.5 points. Sam Houston has played 3 games this year. It has scored 10 points combined in all 3 of them. I expect that things will improve now that conference play is starting and the schedule is lightening up. But the way that offense is playing, I'm not betting on it scoring more than 2 touchdowns in a single game.
Yeah, things might be going in the wrong direction there.
Were they going in the right direction?
No, but I'm saying like they might be approaching absolute zero. I looked long and hard at betting Sam Houston State this week. I really wanted an excuse. This feels to me like the absolute spot to bet Sam Houston. Right? It's Jacksonville State off a nice win, short week, conference game, first conference home game for Sam Houston. But they keep losing guys on offense. I watched that game and I was like, damn, like that guy went down too. Like this, their starters are already not good. So maybe the drop off ain't that big, but I'm not willing at all to risk my hard earned money, or according to some people are lazily earned money on Sam Houston. Right. Like to me, that's just not going Tom, I think that's probably pretty sharp.
I'm going to be on the mothership. I'm not going to be on the broadcast. That'll be Alex Del Barrio and Malik Zaire, but I'm going to be looking at 100 miles of hate. And I'm going to be looking at Western Kentucky, and I'm going to go ahead and lay it. Are we still at 6.5? We still under 7?
There's
I
both.
get you 6.
Okay, I'll take a 6 hit too.
I can't believe you would do that to Jordan.
Listen. There's a lot to like about this game. Mostly how bad both of these defenses have been. And when we get into this game and we get into the rivalry game, we're going to throw a little 2-for-1 special on there because we're also going to go over 60. So we're going Western Kentucky -6 and over 60. I think that obviously the Hilltoppers have not been able to fulfill the wildest dreams of what the Austin Reed-led offense was going to be. But man, Middle's defense might be a nice antidote for that. And I like the support or the fallback or the hedge that I have, because if this does turn into a shootout and it ends up being a 3-4 point margin, or I end up losing outright with Western Kentucky, it's not because it's a rock fight. It's because this thing is an absolute shootout. So little 2-for-1 special. Let's hope we cash them both, but I definitely don't think that we will be losing them both.
I'll get you 59.5.
Ooh, it's moving the other direction. Chip line value. All right. Anything else for Thursday?
I want to fight that.
All right. Let's do it.
First lock fight of the week. The Western Kentucky middle total.
Give me middle +7 here.
Oh,
right. Yeah. I've been waiting on this for a lot of the week. I understand it's some pretty respected money on Chip's side that moved that, but at 7, I need to take it. I really don't trust Western Kentucky's defense to get many, if any, stops. I don't hate this Vadiato kid, if that's how we say it, who's been playing quarterback for middle. They're a tough team to prep for. Honestly, like they run some unique stuff on defense. They had some guys out last week who I kind of wonder if they could have gone on defense. I think maybe could be back this week. I don't hate middle here.
Is Vadiati Dopalicious?
Is it Vadiata? I don't know however you say it. Look, I nailed it. Perfect. Okay. Jordan is a Middle Tennessee State guy. Win the balls, lose, and a balls guy.
Thursday, that's it. Nothing else for Thursday. We can move on to Friday. We've got Louisville and NC State. We got Utah, Oregon State, Louisiana Tech, UTEP, as well as Cincinnati and BYU. What a late night Friday night Big 12 games. I feel like this is where we're just going to go ahead and get used to having like an Arizona or an Arizona State. Obviously BYU hosting this one out here. I could see this becoming a spot with the new Big 12. Anybody going to get in on Friday locks?
I got one.
Go for
it. Louisville has been awesome. 4-0. Jawar Jordan toting the rock. Jack Plummer's been really good. You know what they haven't done yet, though?
Play anybody?
They haven't gone on a true road game just yet. And they're about to go to Carter Finley Stadium, where the Wolfpack have been, they haven't been impressive, right? I mean, it's kind of like they're second to last in passing in the ACC, which is kind of wild because that's exactly the opposite of what we thought we were going to get when Robert and I and Brennan Armstrong reunited. I still think it's a work in progress, but you know what else they've got? I still think they've got a defense that is tough against the run. I think it's tough to win there. Carter Finley, give me the Wolfpack, the home dog, 3.5. I'll take those points.
I will say, when Louisville did go to the quote-unquote road site to play Indiana, they did not look particularly sharp on offense. So Indiana did a good job that day.
Bud mentioned the injuries NC State has had. That is it's kind of a mash unit right now. And there's this interesting dynamic, not to take you into locals hour, but Dave Doran after the game kind of gave a just be glad we won scenario. Like he detailed all of the things that had gone wrong, including Jordan Houston, the starting running back, leaving the team 2 days before the game so that he could preserve his year of eligibility, going to go transfer somewhere else. But man, this is as my friend Joe Giglio likes to say, this is the law of the wolf, right? When you expect the most, you get the least. When you expect the least, you get the most. Louisville comes in riding hot. Everybody's talking about them like a fringe top 25 team. This is when that Wolfpack team pulls something out in Carter Finley. I think it'll be a fun game for sure. Anything else?
I'm glad you went local, because like if you're not an ACC boy, you don't really get how hard it can be to go into Carter Finley at night. Like that place is louder than Virginia Tech. That place is louder than Miami Stadium. Like it's weirdly built down. Like Danny, you played there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that place is kind of nuts.
And it always gives Florida State nuts. It gives they bring it, especially when there's a primetime opportunity. Friday night, I think makes it unique as well. Do you remember the dude? Remember the dude with his shirt off, the fat guy? I forget what win that was.
Oh yeah,
he was
2012, right?
It was 2012 Florida State.
Yeah,
yeah.
Where EJ Manuel misses the wide open screen pass to put the game away, and they come back and Mike Glennon scores.
Oh, yeah, that would be about 9 Mike Glennon crossing routes, one after another to move that ball down the field. I'm going to go to that ranked Pac-12 matchup, and I'm going to be taking the under in Utah and Oregon State because, as we said in Big Game Breakdown, Utah is Iowa. You just trade out the black and gold for the red and white, and I see this one being another just low scoring. And I was looking at the weather. It's not windy. And it's not necessarily calling for rain during the game, but this will be wet Corvallis all the way through the day on Friday. So just kind of seems like it'll be a sloppy physical game, something that, for all the big yards that DJU put up early in the season, they're just right back to their bread and butter, running the ball with Damian Martinez behind that big offensive line. And Utah, really, really good at stopping the run. So I see this one being a spot, no matter what the Cam Rising situation is. I'm not expecting much from Utah's offense, and so I'll be going under in Utah, Oregon State.
Lock agreement.
All right.
Although I can get you a 45, actually. I just saw that. So, I mean, it's really I don't have a whole lot to add to it other than what you said. Utah's defense has been very, very good so far this year, and its offense has been terrible. And I don't even think that even if Cam Rising comes back, he's likely to be rusty, but on a short week, I doubt he's going to be back tonight. It feels like a tough spot to throw him in. And this Oregon State offense the last few weeks has been pretty kind of like they scored a bunch of points last week, but it was after they fell behind and they kind of came back late. I just don't have a ton of trust in DJU right now. I think they will have to lean on Damian Martinez, but I don't know how effective he's going to be when he's the only thing the Utah defense has to worry about. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun, close game. And rather than bet the spread, I would just rather bet on there not being a lot of points.
I will bet the spread here.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and take the Beavers. We have talked a lot on this show about how Utah is arguably the biggest home field advantage in the sport, like measurably. Utah away from Rice Eccles is not a particularly good team, like relative to their talent level. Like they are really, really good at home, and they're a little bit like less than expectation on the road for whatever reason. It's a short week. I think if they could get Rising back, that would help a ton, but I'm not really expecting that. I think at this point, like I'm kind of have to believe it when I see it.
And is Rising going to play all the skill positions too?
Yeah. I mean, look, Oregon State's DBs were not particularly good against Washington State, but I mean, look, the last time we saw this Utah offense travel, and granted, they switched the quarterback in the game, which is fair. Like they went to Nate, and it looked a little better in the final 20 minutes against Baylor, but I think Oregon State's defense is a hell of a lot better than Baylor's is. And I mean, I could see like a 24-10 type game, which also hits the under for you guys.
Love it.
Let the children sing. I like that. I was going to stay away. Bud and I are 1-1. We're in lock agreement. We need to go to 2-1.
I mean,
so I'll have fun on that one. I'm a little bit nervous about the Cam Rising situation. Now, that was kind of my mindset coming in, was just stay away from anything, but I think you make some really good points. And if Cam Rising does come back, his legs, his mobility are a big part of what he does. What if he's a little bit not the same? What if he's 85, 90% as opposed to 100%? And you mentioned just the fact that it's Corvallis. Another place, I'd say like the ACC boys about NC State. I've covered games at Corvallis. That place can get a little, ruckus as well. So I like the Beavers too.
Are they still using the chainsaw as their turnover? Yeah. Yeah, that's
great.
Yeah, the turnover chainsaw. It's pretty awesome. I'll take that one. Anything else for Friday?
Till somebody loses a finger.
Sam Pittman will be there to scoop it up and put it on ice. Deep cut for y'all. All right, we're all good for Friday? All right. Coming up on the other side, we turn our attention to the Saturday slate with our best bets for the day. Next.
Electrifying action is back to back on CBS Sports Network.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast, get things started with a couple of those, big national televised games. A lot of eyes will be on USC and Colorado. Buds aren't. He already said he's sworn off Colorado for the rest of the season. Not a big team, not an important game. But I mean, he might have a lock on it too. He's really good. He's sharp about that.
Whoa. Look at that.
For those listening at home, that was Tom Fernelli's entire setup, doing a backflip off the high dive.
I have no idea what the hell happened there.
All right, anybody got a lock for USC-Colorado? Yes?
I do.
All right, go for it.
So I think this is a similar bad matchup for Colorado, but I do recognize it's in Boulder, right? It's a different atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have the home field advantage. I don't think it matters, but also the massive unknown is in USC's defense. Last week, I told you I was going to take the first quarter, I was going to take the second quarter, I was going to take the halftime, and I was going to take the total. I just want the first half for USC. Can I get it 11.5? Is it DraftKings that has 11 and minus
11 and a half out there? I'm positive of that because I'm right there with you.
And I think they blow them out, but there's just that backdoor cover situation that could be open. I think Caleb will have a great game. Like if you want to touch the USC team total, which money might make, maybe that's the direction to go to tackle this one. But I'm just gonna go ahead and say they come out and dominate the first half, and then we'll just let and see and enjoy the second half and not have to sweat it out.
Practically, I don't really know that. I mean, just for the viewers at home, like what are the probable first half scores that result in 11.5 really coming into play? You know what I'm saying? Like you're only going to get probably 4 or 5 possessions. You know, like, I mean, 21-10, 11.5. If you're laying, it doesn't really matter compared to 12, right? I would just say in that zone specifically with respect to first halves, like 11.5 matters a little bit more in full game states because you also have less 2-point conversion stuff going on in first halves. Like don't hunt for a juiced 11.5 in my opinion for first half. Just kind of, I don't know.
Like if
maybe
you get 12,
maybe not a money making tip, maybe a money saving tip for the audience at home. Yeah.
I have something along those lines in a minute too.
Yeah. I kind of look at this and say anything up to 13 because in my head, what I'm imagining is it is a 2-touchdown USC lead at halftime. Lincoln Riley saw how poorly they played on the road. This is the second straight road game. They had a bad first half against Arizona State. So you're going to be trying to take lessons from that, especially on the defensive side. You also have short week. USC is going to be playing on Friday night coming out of this. So if you think about what the decisions are going to be for the full game, like you, Danny, I don't want to sweat that. I think that with the emotional factor that Bud did recognize that teams are getting up to play Colorado. Like teams are very excited and knowledgeable of the spotlight that is on these games. I think USC would love to get going. And it's so fun to listen to the players talk about the morning start. Like I've come the other side on the body clock. Like, do you know how awful it is to sit around and wait all day long? And like, it's like Pop Warner football. That was a quote from one of the USC players. Like, yeah, you just get up, eat, and go. You know, body clock. We have seen examples of the body clock be a big example, be a factor in a game, but I think it might be overblown. So I'm going to go with USC. They get up, they eat their biscuits, they score touchdowns, and they're leading by 2 of them at halftime.
If it was USC Oregon, I would 100% take like a first half under because I do think it'll be a little bit of a sluggish start. I don't think it matters though.
When I play those early tee times, first 2 or 3 holes are pretty rough before I really get loosened up.
I'm going to play the under here.
Okay, full game.
Yeah, 74.5. The more I watch how Colorado is playing and how teams are playing Colorado, like teams are increasingly not blitzing them. They are playing a lot of too high shell because they realize they can get pass rush with just 4. That leads to a lot of the ball being dumped down underneath. Also, I mean, it's very clear to me that Dion played not to get embarrassed, right, in that Oregon game. I think he understood they were outgunned. He punted the ball in the first quarter from the plus 38 on 4th and 6. They didn't bring a whole lot of pressure on Oregon. They basically just said, Oregon, can you methodically drive the ball on us? I think that's probably what Colorado will challenge USC to do and maybe see if they can succeed in the red zone. USC's run game's been pretty good this year too with Lloyd. Well, I'll go ahead and play the under 74.5. I mean, the implied here is like 49-25. And there's certainly a chance that USC drops a 60 bomb, but I don't know that they are going to keep the studs in for that long. And I don't know that this game is going to pace out like a Colorado game that projects as close might pace out.
Kansas hitting the road to go to Austin. Anybody got to play on the Longhorns and the Jayhawks? I guess we're sitting around 16.5, over under 61.
Over.
As a lock?
Mm-hmm.
All right, nice.
I do think I worry about Kansas's defense facing this offensive line. They haven't faced one this good yet, and I do think the Longhorns are going to be able to move the ball pretty methodically against them, and I also think they'll probably be able to hit some big plays against them that Kansas hasn't really given up a lot up to this point. But I also think that Kansas's offense, the way it's designed and what it's designed to do and confuse defenses, could give some of Texas's defensive backs some problems, which could lead to some big plays for the Jayhawks. So I think this is going to be somewhat of a fun game. It might turn out to be a blowout, but Texas might put up 50-something if it does. So that would still kind of help me out. But I do think that Texas more than likely wins this game, but I think it's a fun kind of back and forth affair for the first half, and maybe the Longhorns pull away in the second.
Anybody else?
I want to lay them with Texas, but I'm not going to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
I think you could see Texas blow them out, but like Tom does play a pretty good scenario. I mean, I'm just going to stay away.
I'm ready to. I got way over my skis after the Alabama win. I'd like to see Texas start to, engage in battle, right?
Yeah.
Have to sweat a little bit, start to see what they are, because as we get deeper into the season, we're going to measure them by a standard that we have not measured Texas football in a very long time, which is competing for the college football playoff and the national championship. Because even when Sam Ehlinger and Tom Herman and we're back, like even when they got as high as they got in the last 10 years or so, we were still never measuring them by that standard. They were even running second fiddle to Oklahoma at that time. So I'm excited to watch this game. Also at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, it is the Georgia Bulldogs heading down to the Plains, Jordan-Hare Stadium, favored by 14.5 against Auburn. Anybody got a lock for the SEC on CBS game of the week? Lay 'em.
It'll be a first.
What?
It'll be a first.
What, Georgia covering?
Yeah, Georgia and Michigan, the only two undefeated teams in the country who are yet to cover a spread.
Yeah, this line's too little. Auburn's offense is in shambles right now. They have no confidence in their quarterback play. And the very last team that you want to be facing when you have no confidence in your quarterback play is the Georgia Bulldogs. And so while it might take a little while for the offense to get going and put some points on the board, because I do think Auburn's defense has been playing well this season, I believe that over the course of 4 quarters, this is a boa constrictor game. This is a 28-6 kind of game. Anything under 20 points feels like it is there for the taking for the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, they need to wake up. They need to have a good performance. And in a rivalry game on the road, I think this is a good spot. So I will take Georgia and lay the 14.5.
I love our rivals.
Did we talk about that yesterday?
I think we mentioned it as a joke a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when Hugh Freeze is already sort of bracing everyone for this being not competitive.
Please don't hurt us.
Yeah, listen, we love what compare that to what we heard from Kirby Smart in the locker room before TCU. Okay, like Hugh Freeze is like, listen, we love our rivals, and Kirby Smart's telling them to rip their head off.
The streets will flow with the blood of the TCU Horned Fox.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of sandbagging in that, a little bit of gamesmanship. Coach Bowden, Bobby Bowden was always good at that. Downplay your chances.
I see all these Auburn folks. Oh, sorry, Danny.
Go ahead.
I see all these Auburn folks asking for Robbie Ashford. I'd be careful what you wish for. I'm not saying you guys are 100% wrong. I'm not at those Auburn practices, but do you know who is at Auburn practices? Auburn's coaches.
Georgia?
And they went out and got paid. And they went out and got I can't do it. They went out and got Peyton Thorne because they saw Robbie Ashford. I think there's some signal in that. Like, could you run Robbie Ashford out there against some SEC teams? Auburn's defense is okay. Play like a I'm gonna call it a pure wildcat, but I mean, he's in there for his legs. If you look at the packages that he's been in so far, I'm a little very questionable that you could run that, against Georgia.
All right, and one more, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Wallace Wade Stadium, Notre Dame at Duke. 29 is the key number here, as in 29 consecutive regular season wins against ACC opponents for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Back it up to the beginning of 2017. That is 33-1 since the start of the 2017 season. They had that down year in 2016. Brian Kelly made some staff changes, and that thing has flipped overall. So do we think Notre Dame gets another, favored right now by 6 or so, over under of 52?
Yep. Extend that winning streak, Irish, because they're going to win and they're going to cover Notre Dame -5.5. I went over it a little bit yesterday in our big game breakdown. I just think that this Notre Dame offensive line is going to be able to lean on the Duke defense and just wear them out as the game goes along. Defensively, if Notre Dame's secondary is able to slow down Ohio State's receivers, they're going to be able to slow down Duke's. They're going to put this entire game on Riley Leonard, and I like Riley Leonard. I just don't think he can beat a team by himself. So give me the Irish -5.5.
Riley Leonard has been better than he has been statistically dominant this season. You pull the numbers up, and it's not outstanding, especially when you compare him to some of his peers. Both these defenses are phenomenal, and they don't make mistakes. They're all old. I mean, like, you look at Notre Dame's defense, grad. Sophomore Benjamin Morrison, who's a phenomenal cornerback, and they told him to get out there and play one-on-one against Marvin Harrison Jr., and he did a pretty good job. Grad. Duke, all, grad transfer, senior. Both these defenses are allowing less than 14 points a game. Both these defenses are allowing 4.2 yards per play or less, and 52 seems too daggum high. I see both these defenses having a really strong performance. I'm going under 52 for this game.
Get you 52.5.
Let's take it. That's a key number.
I want to take Duke, just like the home team crowd. They beat, they almost beat Clemson, but you just go back and look at Notre Dame's record against the ACC, and it scares me away from it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a close game, but I would lean Duke, but I'm not going to take it.
I'll get in on under 52.5 with Chip.
All right. Same thing.
I mean, look, Duke is tempo, but Notre Dame is not. I think if you're the Irish, you're fairly happy with how you ran the football on what is a good Ohio State defense. Irish have a couple of receivers out. I would expect them to try to, as Tom said, win along the lines of scrimmage. If you're Duke, nobody's really pushed you around yet. You're a pretty veteran football team. Like, maybe Notre Dame can really do that. We'll see. I was super impressed with what the Irish did on defense. Honestly, like they played extremely well. I mean, I bet under. I was happy. Like, that's kind of, I didn't expect to see like such a dominant effort by both defenses, but I think Notre Dame is a solid under team. I like this I like the Irish defense a lot more than I like the Irish offense.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think about the way that you detailed how Duke played Clemson. I mean, aren't you going to do the same thing? You're just going to get out there and you're going to say, all right, we're just going to load the box because we don't think that your wide receivers have a distinct advantage over our corners. Something like that? Yeah. It should be very interesting. Coming up on the other side, we're going to open up the board. Anything and everything goes from Saturday, rounding out our Week 5 locks and moneyline sprinkles. Next.
First place I learned about death was a pet cemetery. Dead things buried in that land would come back as something else. Something's wrong. Continue.
He needs time to adjust.
Something's talking to him.
Back back here on the Cover 3 podcast. Let's review what we've got on the board so far. Bud is on Notre Dame-Duke under 52.5, Oregon State -3.5, middle +7, and USC-Colorado under 74.5. I've got Notre Dame-Duke under 52.5, USC first half -11.5, the Utah-Oregon State under 45, Western Kentucky -6, Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky over 59.5, and Georgia -14.5. Danny's got USC first half -11.5, Oregon State -3.5, and NC State +3.5. Tom is on Utah, Oregon State under 45, Sam Houston State team total under 14.5. Austin College at East Texas Baptist over 61, and Notre Dame -5.5. What that?
I have no idea what that is. I believe that is supposed to be Texas, Kansas.
Our automation is picking up all kinds of wild stuff around here.
Man, maybe Tom accidentally has an angle on that game.
Yes, I do.
Doesn't want to release.
Not sharing that. That's for me. And
Austin College and East Texas Baptist.
All right, Danny, got 3 on the board. Let's fill it up a little. Where you want to go?
Let's go. I got a little 2-for-1 special for you, so we're definitely going to fill it up. We have the Dino drop, right? It's one of our favorites. I think people love it when we get it. I don't think we're playing it this week. I think Clemson, I don't think they have problems. I think they have problems. In fact, they got 2 losses. But in both of those games, they easily could have won and possibly even won by double digits, like both of them. If they're able to punch it in, their defense is still an issue for Syracuse. Their points off turnovers allowed is absolutely off the charts. Like they are giving the ball away, and just like we saw against Florida State, it is costing them points, but their defense is still really legit. I actually liked what I saw from Cade Klubnik against Florida State. I think he's kind of coming into his own. I think their offense is kind of better than it was last year and is better than advertised. So I'll go ahead and lay them. I'll lay the 6.5, and I will take the over because I think they're going to put up points. But I also think Garrett Schrader is a problem. Dual threat quarterback. What did Riley Leonard do? He went off as well. One of the big reasons Duke was able to win that game. I think Garrett Schrader could get his as well. So I'll take Clemson, Lamb, and the over as well.
Lock agreement on Clemson -6.5. I just think, it's Clemson right now at 2-2, going on the road against an undefeated Syracuse team. I think that I think they're being a little bit undervalued because I do still think they're one of the 10 best teams in the country from a power rating standpoint. And I do not think Syracuse is one of the 10 best teams in the country from a power rating standpoint. So, give me the Tigers.
Clemson has a plan on offense. Like you can clearly see what they're trying to set up. Like they layer it pretty well. Like it's much less grab baggy than last year. Hell, like the screen call that everybody gave Riley a bunch of hell for, the third down screen call. I'm not sure the receiver. I think it might be Collins. If he's spending less time waving his arm to throw the screen and more time blocking the guy on the screen, that's a pretty interesting little play call. Clemson has gone unbalanced there. Florida State actually matched the unbalance, which is, good, but like they're a man down against the screen. If Clemson just blocks that even kind of poor, but not Olay blocking there, is likely achieving a first down for the Tigers. Like that. I think that Clemson's offense is considerably better coached than it was last year. I think Klubnik is getting more comfortable. What I'm worried about for Syracuse is that they have had to run Schrader 39 times in the last 2 weeks against Purdue and Army. And I believe that is a direct relation to the fact that they've lost Gadsden, they've lost Jones, and Pena is not back. Those are their 2 best receivers and their best kind of like hybrid NFL tight end guy. So I'm going to go with Cuse under 23.5 team total. Like I know they'll pace it, but I think that Clemson's safeties and backers run extremely well. Look, they bottled up Jordan Travis. I know he had the shoulder, but Leonard's a good player. I think Leonard's a lot better player than Schrader is. Go ahead and give me the team total under there. Also, if I had to play at 22.5, there's a couple of those too. Yes, I would.
Yeah, the Clemson defensive line is still so sick.
It's pretty nice, man.
Yeah.
Like I know Florida State has problems up front right now. We'll see if they can get some of those fixed over kind of the next bye week and 2 cupcakes. But yeah, we'll see.
Most opponents, they are going to absolutely eat their lunch. I mean, it's going to be really difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can Clemson get off the mat? Like that. If Clemson gets off the mat, they win and cover easily.
Yeah. Tom said ladder it up. Alt line as far as the slider will take it. Let's see what we can get. What do we need for plus 500 sportsbook? Lay them. All right. Let's see. But
can I go because there's a line I want and it's moving already?
Yeah, go for it.
Washington minus 18.5. Hurry, because it's going to probably be to 20 points here pretty soon at a lot of places. Jaden Delore is not playing for Arizona. So
I'm sorry. So you saying what is Washington?
Oh, well, you know what you can't spell Washington without? Wagon.
Yeah, it's a wagon. Come on. Jump on. We're going to take you straight to the pay window. That's the destination on this wagon. We will ford rivers. We will cross trails. We will not break down. Our axles are strong. Washington is a wagon. Word. Bud?
I mean, is this thing going to 20?
Are you jumping in on it too? Or do you
it's already 20 at DraftKings.
I mean, we got Caesar sitting 18.5, Buckeyes 19. Something feels weird here to me. Like, I think it's pretty well obvious that he was going to be out for like the last couple of days. So if you watch the hit, like, he ain't coming back from that anytime soon. I don't think it's a 1 week thing for him. Well, and the line's not 21 yet.
It opened around 21, I think, and then it came down to like 17.5 for a while, and now it's going back the other way.
I'm gonna pass. I don't know. My spidey sense is like, wait, what?
The wagon.
Oh, what? Like one of their 3 NFL wide receivers might not be suiting up?
Yeah, seriously.
Right.
Oh, no. Now we've just got 2 guys that are better than most other wide receivers in the country.
So I can't remember the exact number, but I was looking at yards per route run, and all 3 of those guys are top 10 nationally.
Bananas.
Can I get one that is moving?
Yeah, of course.
Alabama under 47.
Ooh.
Got A&M on deck. If you guys are watching this live, I'd recommend getting this thing. I think this is going to move. Yeah.
Would you lay the 14.5?
No, I just don't trust Bama's passing game enough.
I'll take Mississippi State plus 15. I can get it as long as I want to get it over 2 touchdowns.
I can get you 14.5 still.
Great. I'll take 14.5. Has anybody noticed what took place last week with Mississippi State? Because they were running the football a whole lot their first 3 games. And guess what they remembered? Oh, my gosh, we have maybe the best quarterback in the SEC in Will Rogers. So they chucked it 48 times. I want to see that offense. I think they're going to need it. And the last time we saw Alabama's defense, I know it's a different offensive line. I think that could be an issue, but they were susceptible to some big plays from Texas. So I don't think Alabama loses. But in Starkville, too, I mean, it's going to be the cowbells are going to be ringing. I think this will be a less than 2 touchdowns win for Alabama. So give me Mississippi State and those points.
All right. Tom, you getting in on this one? We haven't talked about this game much.
I've got nothing on this one. Although I did have somebody ask me a question the other day, who's better, Jalen Milroe or Joe Milton? And the more I thought about it, the more I decided it was Jalen Milroe.
Wow.
I just think that deep ball wise, they're pretty much the same guy. Milton's got a much stronger arm, but at least Milroe can move.
All right. I'm not gonna lock it up, but that Alabama defense, which goes to Bud's under, they're pretty awesome. What are you gonna do against Alabama's defensive front, right? Because they're huge and powerful on the inside, and Dallas Turner is leveled up in a way that people have been looking for out of him for a while. He is playing at a high level right now, and that's very interested to that game actually will be concluding during the instant reaction show. So who knows? Maybe we're talking about an Alabama upset. Maybe it's Trappy. We'll see.
Does Mississippi State get Vandy this year?
Are you going to ask if they're going to go winless in the SEC?
No, but I think just psychologically, like that looked like a home run effort from Mississippi State and their staff. Like getting blown out by LSU, surveying the schedule, saying like staffs know. They know like games they can win and games they can't win. I mean, like Deion's not alone in playing to keep a game close, right? And playing to not get embarrassed. Image management is certainly a part of coaching if you're at an undermanned school. Like they'll deny it, but guarantee you. That looked like a home run effort. South Carolina kind of got the BS call on the interception, and yet they still lose and still don't cover. I don't know. Like I'm curious about the mood there in Starkville this week.
So after this Alabama game, you do get Western Michigan. Whew, thank goodness. But then it's Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky. Those are your best chances, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Southern Miss later in the year. So there are more wins on the schedule, but SEC wins will be tough to come by. While we're in that neck of the woods, is anybody jumping in on anything for LSU-Ole Miss?
You know the dentist is.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Pulling it up here. For LSU-Ole Miss, I have 2 picks. The home team is 8-2 straight up and 9-1 against the spread in the last 10 Ole Miss LSU games. However, LSU is 7-3 straight up in those 10 games, and all were more than 2.5 points. This line feels like Vegas is begging you to LSU, which is strange to me. What am I missing here? Ole Miss has a lot of trouble moving the ball against good teams. Their O-line stinks, and their 3 best pass catchers are still not 100%. The defense plays well at times, but wears down as they get in the second half. I just don't think Ole Miss is very good right now. Probably pretty comparable to like Arkansas, with a heavy reliance on quarterback making plays with their feet. LSU should win this game easily if they play well. LSU minus 2.5, and he has another one. Ole Miss LSU first half under 33.5. He says this game usually tends to be high scoring, but I just can't see Ole Miss scoring much with the current state of their offense. 7.5 is a lot for this game, but I've been burned by fourth quarter shenanigans this season. God, haven't we all with Ole Miss? So I'm going first half under 33.5. He notes that Ole Miss at the half this year has scored 6 against Bama, or 7. I'm not sure which direction he wrote these. 10 against Georgia Tech and 10 against Tulane. So,
do we still have a 34.5 for our LSU team total?
Let's take a look at that.
Or maybe 33.5?
What rotation number is that?
Where are we?
Yeah, there's 34.5.
Yeah, let's go LSU team total over 34.5. I think that, as the dentist mentioned, they can give up some big plays through the air. And while I cannot trust this game. It looks weird. It's strange. I could see LSU laying an egg. But I don't think I can see Ole Miss's defense limiting Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, and the passing game over the course of 4 quarters. So I just think that the Ole Miss win scenario is a high-scoring shootout. That LSU blowing them out probably includes 35 points or more. So I'm going to go LSU team total over.
He is 2-1 betting on or against Ole Miss this year, and the one is the ridiculous late game shenanigans with Ole Miss Georgia Tech. After that was like a 10-3 halftime, and it finished 70. So Dennis follows Ole Miss pretty well. I'm going to join him on that LSU pick.
Okay, let's go.
I think Ole Miss got problems.
So you're LSU minus 2.5, or you're joining Chip on the LSU pick?
He's doing 2.5.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Danny.
I'll stay in the SEC. Noon game. We talked about this a little bit yesterday with the news of Connor Wegman being out. Max Johnson, this is a biased bet. I'll go with it. I thought he looked great. Went back and watched. He looks very comfortable in the system. Evan Stewart and Nia Smith on the outside. We talked about that too. He's got weapons. I think their defense is better. I'll go ahead and lay the 6.5 with the Aggies against Arkansas.
Like that.
Support for them. I like that.
Right. Root for my guy, the Bull.
No doubt.
And he's got the other son on the team too, right?
Yeah.
We got the Johnson
touchdown.
Touchdown. Yeah. Let's go. Johnson
Another
family
one.
affair.
Watch out for a props. Watch out for a props bet.
All right. You want it, Tom?
I will go with, let's see, which one do I want? I'm going to go here with a first quarter play, but goes along with like what you were talking about with the first half play earlier. I'm taking Oklahoma first quarter -6.5. There are 4.5s out there, but they are heavily juiced. Just take the 6.5 unless you're super scared about Oklahoma winning the first quarter 7-2 or something. So if you look at Oklahoma so far this season, they are blowing the doors off of teams right from the gate. They're scoring on their first possessions. They're scoring on their second possessions. They've been very good in the first quarter. They've been very good in the third quarter. I think that continues this week. So Sooners -6.5 in the first quarter.
Nice. -6.5 in the first quarter is not asking for much.
No.
Especially the way that Oklahoma's defense has played and has improved year over year. So I can rock with that. And I've got
first quarter betting is a weird thing.
Well, because the coin flip's going to decide a
Yeah.
decent portion of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think they can get a stop and then march right down the field in this one if they have to.
All right, I've got 2 left.
I've got much more than that.
All right.
I got a couple more than that. Yeah.
Let it rip.
All right, cool. I'm going to stick with this one. Going to ride this until the wheels fall off. Nebraska-Michigan under 39. Talked about it last week. Michigan was running the fewest snaps per game on average than anybody in the country. And that number dropped after last week's game against Rutgers because they ran even fewer plays. And it was a little scarier just because Rutgers got that touchdown early in the game, but then Michigan completely shut them down. I know this is their first road game of the season, but that just makes me even more confident that they're probably going to just take care of their business, handle Nebraska, smother them, and get the hell out of town and go home, because it just becomes clearer and clearer every week. Michigan's just practicing until they have to play Penn State and Ohio State in November. Everything else before that is just let's get out of here and be healthy.
Let the children sing.
Yeah.
I'll get on that. Totally agree. You know what else they don't have? Any motivation. They're still at 2. Like, nobody's docking them for the schedule. They're just getting like and I get it, why they're number 2, why they're not dropping, but they don't have any extra incentive to go out there and try to blow them out. We know how bad Nebraska's offense how bad their offense is. I don't think they score very many points. And I also think Nebraska's run defense is pretty good, could slow Michigan down a little bit. But I think this is under 2.
I could definitely see under there. Yeah.
I mean,
they're not playing Sims though, right? It's I can't pronounce
it.
Yeah,
Harburg or Hodberg or whatever. Some very
51% passing against NIU and La Tech is maybe not the most inspiring performance if you're about to go face Michigan's defense.
Yeah, the biggest concern is that Michigan goes over this by themselves. I mean,
exactly right.
The honest concern.
I mean, you could have a concession score if Michigan's up, 32-0 or 35-0. At some point, Michigan, even though they're not necessarily trying to blow teams out, and even though they are playing slow, at some point this defense will create turnovers in the opponent's own end, and Michigan will cash them in, and it will snowball. How does Rule play this? Like, is Rule cool losing 28-0? Like, do they just keep playing crazy slow? Like Jim and Matt kind of look, okay, like, you got me, I got you, cool. Like, simulated running clock second half, we're keep running the ball even when we're down 3 scores. Or does Nebraska try to throw the football? That's the other. Like, I thought about under here pretty hard, but like at some point Nebraska's going to have to try to throw it, and that's when it could go back at them.
All right, let's keep rocking.
Over. I got one. Or who's low? Who's behind?
I've got 2 left.
I've got 4 left.
Go ahead, rip off another one, Tom.
All right, another under. New Mexico-Wyoming under 42. It's gonna be
windy in Laramie.
That's pretty much it. Wyoming games are low scoring and slow, and there's a whole hell of a lot of wind. So give me the under 42.
Yeah, that'll be 15 to 16 mile an hour crosswinds through War Memorial Stadium and also New Mexico. So,
yeah. But serious shout out to New Mexico for coming through for me. Was it last week or the week before against UMass? I appreciate it. But now it's time to go back to being New Mexico.
Yep.
both play about as slow as humanly possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. New Mexico's running that old school UAB offense.
Yep.
How much room do I have, Jordan?
Do you need your song? Or is anything sick, or is it all square?
Oh, this is sick. Yeah, give me the song.
It's time for sicko mode. Let's go. I'm a little bit lower on some of the teams in the bottom of the Sun Belt. If things go wrong, they could be like UMass, UConn. That's kind of like sicko mode of a sicko mode.
All right, so I got room for 5 more. That's about what I've got on my sheet. This is pretty perfect. I think we need a business trip for Pitt. Pitt just needs to get away for a little bit, but not to Morgantown. You see Chip's shirt. One of the key things of gambling is you have to be able to separate bad from awful. Pitt is bad. Virginia Tech is awful. I generally trust Pat Narduzzi to go on the road, and they don't always win. But there are some coaches that I just will not bet on the road, at least until the lines just like completely catch up to the fact that they don't travel well, whatever. Like they're not organized, or travel plan sucks, whatever. Like their rest stuff doesn't work, whatever it is. Narduzzi, on the other hand, is not somebody you should bet on necessarily on the road, but he is not a coach who is a bad road coach. He's actually 16-3 against the spread in road conference games as a favorite. So generally Pitt goes on the road and doesn't mess around. West Virginia was extremely concerning, obviously. I'm going to go ahead and lay the 2.5 points here with Pitt. I was a little bit surprised at how well Pitt played against North Carolina. Like, they ran the ball kind of effectively. A lot of the passes that Drake May made were really high-level passes. Like, they at least forced him to do difficult stuff. I bet North Carolina in that game. However, I was like, damn, like, I'm glad Drake May is playing his butt off here, because Pitt had an inspired effort, and like, they don't look quite as bad as I thought. So lay them with the Nard Dog.
Yuck.
Yes.
That's pretty sick, isn't it?
Yeah. No,
it's not even the play as much as you're like fading yourself to have to watch Pitt and Virginia Tech play football.
Oh, I'm not going to watch it. I'll watch the turnovers and the explosive plays, and then if some team has like crazy tackles for loss, I'll figure out if there's an injury.
Yeah, the ACC's got a couple of, there's Pitt, Virginia Tech, and Virginia Boston College. I thought Akron Buffalo was going to be the gold standard for week 5, but there's some phenomenal football games that are going on across the country this week. All right, let's see Danny.
I'll go. Texas Tech lost Tyler Shuck to a season-ending injury, like another injury for Tyler Shuck. My man has been dealing with it his entire career, which also tells me that Texas Tech's kind of prepared for this. The line dropped, I think, from 10 to 8.5. I think Texas Tech is in a point of desperation for Joey McGuire. They desperately need a win. They're 1-3. Why is Bud telling me no?
I don't know. I want to hear the play first. I'm just.
All right.
It sounds like
you've already bet it. You've already bet it. Okay, do your thing.
We can fight. I guess we're fighting then. If you doesn't like it, I'll go ahead and lay 8.5 with the Texas Tech Red Raiders against Houston coming to town.
Are you going to fight it?
I'm not going to fight it, but I'm going to be keenly watching this game for the live betting, because Morton took a pretty good shot late in that ball game against West Virginia. So I don't know who QB4 is for Texas Tech, but if they have to play him, I'm guessing he ain't great.
All right. Tom, you
Matt,
getting on that
Matt
one?
Ryan, our colleague at CBS, said he can get 7.5. Is he right? I love it. Thanks for the support, Matt.
Matt Ryan in the chat.
He did. He's not going to play for the Jets. He's too busy watching the Lock Spot.
Yeah, he's into the broad. He turned down the Jets because he wanted to watch the Lock Pod. Pretty much is what he was saying.
Nice. All right. So I don't know scientifically what it's called when a wagon has wings. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. But the Air Force Falcons are a wagon with wings. You favor them by 9, they win by 18. You favor them by 6.5, they win by 20. Air Force is thumping teams. and 10.5 is not enough points against a San Diego State team that is not up to par, is not up to program standard. We fly on the wagon with wings. Air Force, we lay the 10.5.
Lock agreement.
Oh, yes.
San Diego State is a terrible run defense. Like, you're used to the Aztecs over the years being good at stopping the run and even being good against option teams when they were under Rocky Long. Rocky Long's been gone for a while. They are ranking in like the 120s and 130s in pretty much every rushing statistic defensively that I care about. And they're facing an Air Force team that runs the ball 94% of the time. So yeah, that'll probably not go great for them.
There's a couple 10s out there for you, Chip.
Let's go. I mean, Chip line value says give me the worst number because that's how much I believe in the pick.
If Ohio quarterback Curtis Rourke did not get knocked out, what's this line?
17-ish.
Oh, you're
probably
saying
2 touchdowns.
You're saying if San Diego State does not have the Ohio performance on its record factoring into this, then we would see a far different spread.
What's the market perception? Yeah.
Nah, Air Force's only failure to cover this year has been because Sam Houston drugged them into like an absolute slog. And even in that case, they won. It was 13-3, but it felt like 30-3. It was just played at such a slow pace. You just didn't.
By the way, you know where Rocky Long is? He's going to have his hands full this week. Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
I got one more. You guys out?
I got one more.
Go ahead. Rip it.
Okay. What has TCU done where we can trust them as a double-digit favorite in conference play? I mean, seriously, what are we trusting TCU that much? Because when we took the under for TCU SMU, or when we were looking at, the different ways to approach this, I was like, okay, so they've improved a little bit. The defense has, snapped up some really bad offenses, and West Virginia is not a dominant offense. But what have we said all season, even going into the Penn State games, that West Virginia is really good along the lines of scrimmage. And that means that this West Virginia team is going to be competitive. And they did not allow anything in those back-to-back wins. And while it was at home, and while it was against offenses that are kind of in shambles right now, I do think that the confidence that West Virginia has been able to build during this 3-1 start is going to have them going into Fort Worth and once again being a real pain in the ass because of how good they are on the lines of scrimmage. 11.5. That's a lot of points for a game where I'm not so sure the difference between the quality is there.
If you like 11.5, you're going to love 13.
Oh, let's go. All right.
CLV, chip line value.
I love that play. I almost considered going 2 more, but I have a lot on the board. I love that play.
Jordan, I have room for 4 more. I think
I'll get my last one in so Bud can
All
just
right.
rip off his 4 right in a row. Jordan, I feel like he's been a little quiet. We kind of ripped on him before with the Joe Milton stuff. Give me Tennessee at home, laying 12.5. You know what Tennessee's really good at? Getting after the passer. You know what South Carolina's really bad at? Protecting the passer, despite Spencer Rattler making great plays. He's been awesome. I think it's too much. I think Tennessee takes them to the woodshed. I'll lay the 12.5.
little thing I've been watching there, Danny. Oh, sorry. I think they might get the center Mays back this week. That's been a big deal. Like, Florida won that game, not entirely, but a large part of that was feasting on the Tennessee backup at right tackle because Mincy got popped for the weed stuff and because the center Mays was still out. If they get both those guys back, I think they may cook. Yeah, I kind of like that one. All right. I also like Indiana's defense quite a bit. I'm going to bet Maryland under 32.5 team total. I like the side. I like the under. I think, like, when our powers combine, Captain Planet style, that the one I like the best is Maryland under 32.5. I mean, they held they held Louisville to 21. They held Ohio State to 35. I think Indiana has some real players on its defensive line. I don't really see the incentive for Maryland to just go out and kill them. Maybe Indiana turns the ball over and I lose, but hey, it's gambling. Next, this just feels extremely, extremely rock fighty. Give me what's best I can get here. 44.5. Under 44.5 in Kentucky, Florida.
Yeah.
I've debated this all week. Like this opened 47. It got snatched up pretty hard. It went through 45, which is obviously a bit of a key. But I still just, neither of these teams have hit explosive plays this year, especially through the pass game. I like both front sevens a ton, much more than I like the opposing offensive lines. Neither quarterbacks scare you a whole lot. Mertz has been a little more like operationally efficient, but just not scary. I think it's a rock fight. And both coaches like the rock fight style.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like Florida is closer to Kentucky than Florida is to Florida.
No doubt.
Florida is a Kentucky branded type team. They both want to just run the ball behind those big old offensive lines, and I can definitely rock with you on that one.
By the way, chat's telling me that Indiana held Ohio State to 23, not 35. I thought it was more than that, but whatever.
Yeah, it's 23-3, I think.
Oh wow, okay. Well then my point stands even more. Michigan State plus 12.
Lock agreement.
I think they win the game. I'm a little worried because some Michigan fans came at me on Twitter and were like, hey, you need to make sure you figure out who's going to have an injury and fake injury for the redshirt transfer thing out of Michigan State. So
because they've got 30 days. Mel Tucker officially fired. Now the 30-day clock starts for them to be able to enter the transfer portal and be able to transfer without penalty.
And Danny brought this up yesterday, right? Like it has been 4 games. I figured you'd probably hear it leak out beforehand, but maybe not. Maybe they will keep it quiet if there is something there. But yeah, Michigan State.
There are 12.5s out there for us.
Well, shoot. I mean, look, it's an Iowa game. Weird stuff could happen. I'll take every little half point I can get. Give me. I can't believe I'm going to do this in a tempo game. Give me Oregon under. I really didn't like what I saw from Stanford's offense last week. They converted 5 opportunities of 3rd and 11 plus. I think that's unsustainable. They also gave up 9 tackles for loss to Arizona's offense. I don't really like Oregon's off a huge win. I know Oregon's kind of a wagon, but like what's the real incentive for them to go and just absolutely kill Stanford? Like get the backup some more time, get out. What's the best number I can get in that?
61.
Yeah, perfect. I'll take that. And I got room for one more.
Difference in environments too.
Buffalo-Akron over. That's kind of sicko as well.
Oh,
I got 55.
Buffalo is what Buffalo stinks, Chip, last week.
man, and I came so close to cashing in on that. Come on, Louisiana.
But specifically, Buffalo's defense stinks. And this is actually kind of sneakily 2 of the better quarterbacks in the MAC.
DJ Irons.
Like, Irons and Snyder are like they're not that bad.
And DJ Irons is dual threat. Buffalo's run defense is bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can rock with that.
Buffalo's pass defense is like, I mean, Liberty was like playing 7-on-7 against them. That was kind of insane.
Is Liberty still a wagon? They're still 4-0 against the spread.
You got to stop throwing the word wagon around so freely there.
Right.
Yeah, man.
You know what? Yeah, as the deputy of wagons, I will cede the opinion to you.
The wagon committee is going to be issuing a cease and desist.
All right. Before we get to Moneyline Sprinkles.
I got one more.
Okay.
Team that is on wagon watch, ironically enough. And if they pull this one off this week, they're going to get a little closer to full-on certification. Give me James Madison -3 against South Alabama. If they can win this one and win this one emphatically, I think I'm going to be kind of coming along on the Dukes.
They're awesome. It's a lot of fun to watch that team play. All right, and that is going to be in Harrisonburg. Huge game there for the Sun Belt. All right, let's review what we got on the board before we got to Moneyline Sprinkles. Bud has Michigan State plus 12, Notre Dame-Duke under 52.5, Oregon State -3.5, Middle Tennessee plus 7, USC-Colorado under 74.5, Syracuse team total under 23.5, Alabama-Mississippi State under 47, LSU -2.5, Pitt minus 2.5. Maryland team total under 32.5, and Florida, Kentucky under 44.5. I am on Air Force minus 10.5. Notre Dame-Duke under 52.5. USC first half minus 11.5. Utah, Oregon State under 45. Western Kentucky minus 6. Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky over 59.5. Georgia minus 14.5. LSU team total over 34.5. West Virginia plus 13. Danny's got Michigan, Nebraska under 39. Clemson minus 6.5. USC first half minus 11.5. Oregon State minus 3.5. NC State plus 3.5. Clemson, Syracuse over. That's right. Is it over 53?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, over 53. Mississippi State plus 14.5. Texas A&M minus 6.5. Texas Tech minus 8.5. Tennessee minus 12.5. Tom is on. Michigan State plus 12. Air Force minus 10.5. Michigan, Nebraska under 39. Clemson minus 6.5. Utah, Oregon State under. Sam Houston State team total under 14.5. Kansas, Texas over 61. Notre Dame minus 5.5. Washington minus 18.5. Oklahoma first quarter minus 6.5. And no Mexico, Wyoming under 42. It's going to be windy in Laramie.
Bud and I are both off the page because it does not include Bud's.
I was told I had room for 5 more.
Or my James Madison. We were lied to by Jordan. So
okay, so do not forget that Buffalo-Akron over 55 for Bud and James Madison Dukes minus 3. All right, let's turn our attention to those money line sprinkles. Last week in money line sprinkles, whoa, Danny, West Virginia winner, Washington State winner. Why don't you go ahead and get us started since you are just crushing it with the money line sprinkles.
You know, it's a wagon. My sprinkles are a wagon right now. You better get on. All right, rattle these off quickly. Ole Miss, give them to me. The line's telling you something. They know something. I'll go ahead and take a swing for the fences with them. I say they went outright. The Florida Gators, remember, they owned this rivalry for 30 years. All of a sudden, it's got a little bit more even. I think they can win in Lexington. Give me them to win outright. Boise State. Give me Boise State to win as well. More road picks this week. And then give me NC State, the Wolfpack. We talked about it earlier. Carter Finley. I think they get the win outright as well. And then West Virginia. Take me home. I just wanted to sing again. Country roads. Let's go. To give it TC. Wouldn't it be ironic if they're playing the team that was last year's Cinderella story in the Big 12 and they beat them and they become this year's Cinderella story in the Big 12? There is not that much gap in the top and the bottom. We knew that coming in. Maybe West Virginia is actually one of the better teams in the conference.
They are not going to be a Cinderella story going to the college football playoff championship game.
No, I don't think so either. But it's still a great story.
It's still a great story. No, you all
14. That's all Neil Brown wants to say. They call themselves 14 because of the preseason predictions, them finishing 14th. That's their rallying cry.
So
they're 14.
Good. That is, man. That I like that a lot. It's not my money line sprinkle though. I'm going to go to that other game that I discussed earlier, opposite of VT Pitt. I know that we are losing our sweet, whoopsie daisy king, Anthony Calandria. Give me Virginia on the money line at Boston College.
God.
Speaking of gross.
That's a sicko money line.
I mean, that's the good thing about the CW game of the week is that's over the air, so it doesn't need to occupy any of your streaming services. You can just get the digital tuner out to be able to get that CW game on.
Between Dawson's Creek commercials.
Yeah, and then I'm also going to take Duke plus 180. I think there is a sprinkles chance that Duke can go and get that win outright. So real old school ACC as the conference might be seeing its final days here in the next coming months. But let's go Virginia and Duke on the money line.
There's plus 200s out there, by the way.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay, I got it at 180. Let's see. All right, I'm going to kind of go along with Danny's Big 12 principle here. I'm taking Baylor plus 360. Like, I don't know. I don't really expect them to win, but I don't think that is an accurate number for the level of these two teams. So give me that. I'm also taking, I'm about to get booed, South Carolina plus 360. What happened last time South Carolina played Tennessee with Joe Milton at quarterback? Oh, that's right. South Carolina won. And South Carolina's offensive line was terrible last year too, but for some reason they were able to stop Tennessee and Joe Milton. I'm with Danny on Florida plus 100. And I was a big Georgia State believer last week, had Darren Granger in my quarterback power rankings, really appreciated what they did for me against a Coastal Carolina team that I don't think the market had caught on, that Tim Beck is slowly destroying. But sorry, got to go the other way this week. Troy plus 105.
Tom's going to be in there like whispering in the linebackers here. Like, hey, Milton makes 7X. You do it in IL. Pass it on. All right. ACC boys got to ride together. Look, we'll see if Duke. We'll see if Notre Dame can do it. Give me that Duke plus 200. I said I think they win the ball game, so I'll double down on it. Michigan State plus 380.
Yes,
dude.
Houston plus 275.
Oh,
I like that actually. I mean,
Rice plus 155.
Oh, come on, man! You're going right back to it.
Oh, like, sorry. I mean, East Carolina plus 155. Rice.
Yeah. Okay.
I think he can change. He can change. I can fix him.
This is why you watch us live. Northern Illinois plus 450 at Toledo. Go get it on FanDuel.
That is a man that's been burned by the candle too many times.
Do you trust Jason Candle?
No, so that's the thing.
Yeah.
I really like that play. Like logically, I don't know that I have the stones to make it.
That's actually in the notes section of my spreadsheet beside this game. I was like, but can you trust Jason Candle? And the answer is clearly no.
Yeah, because I was very close to taking the Huskies to cover, like as one of my locks, but I don't like this Huskies team.
But I like it as a sprinkle.
I could see them no show.
For sure.
Yeah, no, that's
like look, Notre Dame could totally no show. Iowa could no show. Texas Tech could be starting a fourth quarterback, so we'll see on that. I'm kind of curious about JC Daniels, by the way. We'll see. Also
on the ECU note, as ECU takes on the Beatrice Challenge, that team is so young and inexperienced that it's going to be one of those teams that you want to circle back on, once things start to click and once they start to get a little bit of experience. I mean, obviously thrown into the fire at Michigan, Marshall kind of took their lunch a little bit. ECU was leading that game in the second half. Once they get a little bit more mature, I think that's where, I don't know if they're going to be winning a whole lot of ball games, but I mean, we're talking about the American Athletic Conference. The difference between some of those teams in the bottom half are going to provide plenty of opportunities for the Pirates to get theirs.
Also, I would just like to point out too, they're not at plus money, so I couldn't put them in the sprinkles, but Illinois straight up Purdue.
Okay.
Feeling it. Okay.
All right.
Maybe somebody knows something about somebody else's defense.
Just
rivalry, man.
Rivalry game.
Yeah.
Cannon's on the line. It's ours.
Let's go. What's the trophy?
The cannon.
The cannon.
It's a cannon. It's on wheels like a wagon. So,
but it's a cannon.
Yeah.
All right, that's about. I think that's a full slate of Week 5 selections. Join us Saturday night, 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, and we will be reacting to everything from the week that was. Thank you to everybody that's hanging out, and you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Finelli. You can follow him at Danny Cannell. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See y'all.